Okay, so now we're going to take our deep dive. We're in our grief and gratitude series, which I think is this really great
Yeah.
combination, courtesy of Donna Cravata. We had a great conversation, and we were talking about grief and gratitude, and then it kind of came together. So, describe for us, if you would, a time of grief.
Well, I would say the end of both of my two marriages. So, first marriage of 20 years, I didn't realize at the time, we learned later, that he was neurodivergent, high functioning, autistic, ADHD, depressed, frustrated, struggling to keep up. We were part of a church, and a number of men really tried coming up alongside of him. I had unrealistic expectations, and I was definitely more of a control freak, and like, oh, let me do it, I'll just run everything. It ended up that he felt like a failure. I didn't think I was any help to him. He didn't think he was any help to me, and it was kind of a mutual parting. But the good news there is that we're friends, and I've become very grateful for the father he is. He's very grateful for the mother I am of our two children. And we're actually best friends. And he and his new wife and I, we're all prayer partners monthly. He's like my brother now, so it's been, grief at losing the marriage, but incredible gratitude that we are as close as we are family, we are forgiven, we're encouraging to each other. Our kids are, we're all on the same team. And that's a lot to be grateful for. Not a lot of people get that.
Yes, that is a lot to be grateful for. And so you already have got to that place of being able to I'm going to say forgive yourself and forgive him, because you were both doing the best you could do at the time with where you were and the information you had. And then, of course, when you know better, you do better, but you can't really speed that process up.
You can. So, and lately, 2 years ago, separated, and a year ago divorced. My second marriage of 15 years, as it turns out, also to a man I strongly suspect is autistic, and others thought so too. But autism alone isn't by any means a blow against marriage. It's how all of us take our strengths and weaknesses and take responsibility for them, and take the effort to, to grow and change and learn how to be more relational or more positive in life. So the grief was, he didn't want to grow with me. He didn't want to work on things. He was clearly feeling very put on, that I thought there was room for improvement on both our parts. The gratitude is that I decided to grow anyway. And in learning a lot about now two neurodivergent marriages, plus my son being neurodiverse, towards the end of the second marriage, I did get a master's in marriage and family therapy. I had been a biblical counselor, and I realized, okay, I'm going to be on my own. I'm 67 years young, but I figured I got at least 10 more years of work in me. And so I've been an international coach for neurodiverse couples, mostly couples of faith, but I'll work with other people, of course, and helping individuals optimize their best selves and learn their weaknesses. And it is a specialty because there are not a lot of people who understand neurodiversity. And so I'm so grateful. Oh my gosh, Rochelle, I'm so grateful that I learned this the hard. I have a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks, but I am able to help people with this, and in so doing, continue my own journey of healing.
Right. And who knew at the time that you were going through these very hard things that it would, and to me, that's the promise of Romans 8:28, God would work it for good.
Yes, exactly.
It's something that only he can do. And he does it, and just.
Oh no, only God could have come up with this. If somebody had told me 5 years ago, this is what I'd be doing, I'd be like, yeah, what are you smoking? Really, is that even a thing?
Right. Oh my goodness. And so not everybody listening is likely understand when we use that term
Oh, yeah.
neurodivergency.
Yeah.
Let's start there. What is that?
So it would be ADHD, autism, OCD, Tourette's, dyslexia. These are all what are listed as neurological developmental. They're called disorders in the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic manual. I like to call them differences because they're just differences in how brains are wired, and many of them are people of high gifting, high sensitivity, but they're also developmentally out of sync with some other things and need either to catch up or work, around those developmental delays. And there's no two neurodivergent people who are like. A lot of these things overlap. Many people who have high functioning autism, you wouldn't even know. It could be your geeky dentist, or it could be your IT guy, or the kid at school who's the big computer nerd or the gamer. A lot of women that are perfectionists and following all the rules could be autistic. There's a lot more people out there than you would think, but especially ADHD, because like 1 in 9 kids are being diagnosed.
Wow.
And that's 1/10 of the population. And most of them have a genetic link from a direct parent, which means so many adults, and it untreated, it can lead to alcoholism, gambling addictions, all kinds of very not functional behaviors. So there's more and more light being shed on it, and people are beginning to become aware, especially when their kid gets diagnosed and like, where did this come from? And
Right.
and then they're like, oh, what are the parents? Oh, that's what's been wrong in our marriage. Oh, let's call Barbara.
Wow. So you've been able to take your firsthand experiences, couple that with some education,
Yeah.
lots of practice, and now you are out there able and willing to help those
Yeah.
who need that kind of help, which I think we're starting to hear this terminology more, but I think again, we need to hear it even more than we're hearing it now so that we all understand what that means. And your point of it being a difference and not a disorder, I think really needs to be underlined and highlighted, because that just shifts it and makes it feel so different than disorder. Yeah.
Well, and the sad thing is that culturally, many people who are neurodivergent have had to mask and act as if. I mean, I just, before talking to you, got off the phone with a guy who said, oh, I'm a masker par excellence. I have been acting as if since I was 10, singing on stage with my brothers, and I learned to be on stage, and that life was a stage, and I needed to know my lines and play the part. And he's never known he could just be himself and genuine, because he's always been trying to act as if.